Well, it's St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2013, and I've decided to bring the dog, and myself of course, to the Lake Laurentian Conservation Area. I'm a member of the Friends of Lake Laurentian, and this is a great spot, and I've been here several times in the last little while, attending various events and little courses and that, and I'm going to take a trip on what they call the self-guided trail with my four-legged companion and take some pictures. So see you in a minute. Now the trail we're going on, so I mentioned it was a self-guiding trail, but it's not the only trail here. You see by the sign, I could zoom in, yeah. Lookout Trail, hiking trail. It used to be on my birthday every year. We used to, for several years, we used to go on the hiking trail, and it would take us right around the lake, and it was a great activity. You can see where it starts here, and if I can trying to operate this with gloves and a little glare, but anyway, that would be where the trails are. Now, just going to take a swing around here, and this is Lake Laurentian, and you'll notice the surface area is quite disturbed. There's actually an ice road here, and there's a lot of dirt around, and that's due to some construction that was going on to install a bridge and repair another one. So things are looking up. It'll be quite interesting. I think this is the year I should go around again. Now here's a map board, and if you see, read the sign, you see that they're updating their map, which is good, because say there's going to be a slight change to the trail. They're preventing access, preventing garbage, and there's a sign there that says that the gate isn't open on the weekends, but that has changed, and I'm happy it's changed. Now here we have an overflow situation. We're coming up the spring. It's only 6 days away. Am I right on that? 6 days away? No, it's the 17th. It's 4 days away. And so the overflow goes down here. And some thoughtful person, of course, has placed a plank here. Obviously it's been in use quite a while. And straight ahead is the chalet, and that's where I've attended a number of events, like I had mentioned earlier. And the one thing, these events, for example, I learned to track animals in the snow, and to build a quinzhee. I think, I hope I not forget it. It's basically a snow hut. And my last time here, I was learning about owls. We went out and didn't see any owls, even though we had a device to hoot for them. But it was a good-sized group of about 25 people, and you never went with a quieter group in all your life. Even the kids were quiet. So that was quite an event in itself. One thing, while I'm still on the subject of these sort of courses and that, There is no age limit. Kids are welcome, as well as older folks. This week coming is called Water Week, and they're having lunchtime events every day. So it's an active place. So we're going to carry on. We're near the university. We're near Laurentian University. We're very fortunate that we get some expertise from there for some of the events. For example, our owl lesson 2 weeks ago was through somebody from the university, and we have there's a professor of biology and a number of things that often comes out, and it's just fascinating. So anybody who lives in this area who's watching this thing should keep an eye out for what goes on, and right in your own backyard. And speaking of quinzies, you have here what looks like one that has melted, because we've had a lot of rain and now we're back to the cold. Minus 14 I think it was this morning. But you can see, if you can imagine it, you pile up a bunch of snow, and then you let it sit for a while, and then you haul it out. So there was what was once the opening. So you would start there and just dig it out until you have a nice cozy place to stay out of the way. The weather and nice and warm, and probably a good idea not to light a fire. You won't be exposed to the elements. So now we've started on the trail. Let's see results of a few quinzies, kind of small. When we were adults that did the one last time, but everyone else seemed to have one of good size too. It was because of the age of a group, we called it the Geezer's Quincy, but maybe it was just me who called it that. Anyway, the trail continues, and it's and I'll make some observations as we go along. You can see there's not a very well used trail to our left here, and there's a signpost. Directs you onto the trail, continue on the trail, or back to the chalet. But the other side mentions the ski chalet. And problem is, if you went there at this time, you'd end up walking on a ski trail, which wouldn't be very nice thing to do. So we'll carry on here. I'll just take a slow move around, so that we're in a hilly area, which is good. And so in spite of the cold today, at least we're not, and it was not very windy anyway, but out of any wind that might be around. So one of the problems of walking on these sort of trails, I don't know if actually they're showing up too well, is the number of holes created when the trail was soft, and I'm not sure why anyone would actually want to walk on these like this and sinking, because it's quite dangerous. Let's see now. Blackbird Swamp. I haven't been down there for a while, so I think we'll go have a look. You gonna come, babe? Gonna have to do a little climbing here. Obviously, can't take the stairs because the stairs are buried, but hope it's not too slippery. Didn't bring my stick because I wanted to have hands free for this. So anyway, take a shot. See you on the other side. Well, here we are in the marsh. Now there used to be a duck blind here. I have see if it's still here. There's a bench which I'll sit on. The snow has been going. You can see some rock. And could be a beaver house out there. One thing, we're in a not a humongously sized city, 160,000 people or so. We're in the south side of it, even though it's the city is made up of a bunch of communities amalgamated. Oh, I don't know, 12 years ago, something like that. And I had gone to a focus group a while back, and I think that's what we called it, but if I didn't, I'm going to call it that anyway. And the one thing that came out, of course, we were like-minded people, but this area has to be conserved. It's a conservation area, but there's always pressure from developers to encroach on Mother Nature, and you know, a good percentage of us, one of the reasons we like to live here is because we're close to nature. We don't have to go far, we don't have to travel, we're here already, so why lose this? You don't get it back. So anyway, that's my speech for the moment anyway. I've decided, instead of going back the short route we did, I'll just take a little walk around here. I always ended up on this section of trail, or I think almost always anyway, when we used to do the hike around the lake. And you know, it was always nice. And so you'll see, jog a few memories. One of the things that's unique this year, as opposed to most years, right now I'm actually walking on the surface of the snow. We've had so much rain, which froze, and instead of being on this little trail, I'm walking on it. Now, I don't recall doing this since I was a little kid in Hamilton. It's kind of a kick. Another thing too, probably people who may watch this who are not winter people, or you know, live in an area where there's that seasonal, having snow or winter, it allows you to travel in places that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to travel. Swamps, for example. Walking on water. Now see, here we go. there's the sign to the hiking trail. 15 kilometers. I was just trying to remember how long it is. 15 kilometers. And the swamp we were just looking at is the Blackbird Swamp. And there's a trail marker for the hiking trail. And turning around, there's Green Trail, a sign which I suspect sends you back to the chalet. And also that you're on the hiking route. So not really in the mood to go on the hiking. Said it wasn't handy to go on the hiking route today, but on the other hand, it'd probably be quite nice. So maybe we keep some winter. It might be an idea. We'll see how things go. So here we are at the one end of the lake. This is not the end so much. There are several spots you could call the end, but this part, we're going to carry on to our right there, head us back to chalet. You'll see the hills and that. Now can you imagine turning this place into a housing development, freaking condos or something? I couldn't bear it. I couldn't bear the thought, you know. Like living down southern Ontario in some large city where you got lots of grass, but it's all fake, you know, not artificial grass, but you know, buy the seed, fertilize the hell out of it, blah blah blah, water it. Well, I mean, people do that here too, but I'm not one of those people. So anyway, we shall carry on. So we've just come off the hiking trail. And we've joined up with the main trail. And there's the hiking trail sign, of course, to the left, which is where we're going. And this section is called the Lakeside Trail, because we're going beside the lake. Now, depending on where people have walked, because one time we were out here and it was easier to walk on the lake than on the trail. But wherever it's easiest, that's where we go. You're going to notice that there are patches of grass. So through the melting and all this stuff, and we've had water running, and I can't remember how warm it's supposed to get today. You can see where there's water right over there, see? I'm one of those people who are not really pushing for spring. One thing, my backyard's terrible, not to mention my front yard in spring brings in maybe not the work that should be done, but say, oh my God, look at all the work to be done. As long as it's covered up with snow, everything's good. This lake is, I don't know how large it is. I paddled it twice last year in my kayak. And it was so enjoyable. There was one motorboat on the lake. Shouldn't have, as far as I'm concerned, shouldn't have been there, but I haven't seen any signs saying you can't do it. And it was so peaceful, so quiet. Now you see here's water here. It's melted, and we're actually on a little bridge here. Well, there are a number because we're right on the shoreline. And you can see there's some skiers making good use of the frozen over lake. And some kind soul has put a stick where there's open water, which is very nice of them. You do get skidoos occasionally. These sewing machines to uninitiated, and now somewhere around here I went a year or two ago to an edible plant little course that I can recognize the structure that was there and learn what that you can make teas out of certain barks and needles, I guess, and you got to be careful. And then they had some samples at the chalet. You know, some of them weren't half bad. Somebody built a lean-to. Doesn't look very dry, although there isn't any snow under there, so maybe it looks drier than it is. I don't plan to approach it any further, but I don't know if it's part of a lesson or what. You know, lots of instruction going on. You'll notice we have lots of birch trees, and lots of birch trees die off, and then they end up looking like hell. But from what I understand, in spite of our atmosphere, which at one time was quite acidic, that's quite normal. They're a short-term tree. Onward along the lake. Every attempt has been made to make the place accessible as possible to people. Things like, you know, walking along over some bridges, little shaky looking, not necessarily even. But things like stairs. You saw the one I went up before, which was obviously not kept clear, but this one would get a lot of traffic. I think I went up the stairs at least the last time. I had gone up beside it when I was wearing snowshoes. It's a great place for activities such as that. And showing the lake again, and showing that those lumps were made from the workers. So I presume they finished their work because they would be getting kind of dangerous to be on the water right now. So it costs a lot of money, and the other thing is to extract them. And besides, it's a conservation area. You don't want that kind of stuff in any water, but it would be doubly disastrous to have it here. Well, we're on the last leg of the journey now, back to the chalet, and we can pick up the car in the parking lot. We've had a great walk. Almost, in my thinking, a perfect day. Cold, yeah, but not for me. I'm wearing this hoodie that my daughter bought me several years ago that just, the cat's meow. And the sun is shining, and you cannot help feel good. Oh, and what do you know? Here's a quincy that has not melted. So this will be the lesson for today. We've had the lecture for today. Now it has melted a little bit, because who the heck could get through that hole? But it's hollow in there. Take my word for it. And it'd be quite cozy. I guess the First Nations people knew all about that stuff, so we would have learned from them what they've learned from us. Of value is questionable. Oh, there we go. Got political. Here we are back at the chalet. And looking across to the parking lot where my vehicle is. Where the heck is it? Anyway, there's not another car in the parking lot. And it's 8 minutes after 11 on a Sunday morning. Now there was a car here coming out when I was coming in. And there are probably a number of people here this afternoon. But can you imagine this in a large center? People, people, people. Now, I just want to point out there's a viewing stand right there. So one of those hikes is up to that viewing stand. Have a look around. There's another short trail from there. And there's also the one I mentioned, the 15K trail. So always something to see. Here's some docks. They're pulled ashore. They're made to float, but they're pulled in the winter time. I should mention that they have courses for kids here in the summer. I can't remember, Camp Bidawong or some name like that. But it's one day when Spring and I were paddling in the kayak and coming back, seen the kids in canoes screaming and yelling and having a time of their life. What an experience. So, I think that's about it. We're going to the parking lot and we're going to go on, do some stuff, and might even find time to have a Guinness today. Celebrate Paddy's Day. See you again.